Why does God allow cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons, tornadoes, hailstorms to happen? Chandogya Upanishad has this question. Why all this? Is there a defect in God's design? Is God a defective engineer? Problems are a fact of life. Somebody said, I try to live one day at a time, but recently many days have attacked me together. This is the reality of life. If you think you will have a life free of problems, then your attitude is unrealistic. And when you face problems, what do? Do you break down? Like glass appears to be so strong and stiff, but a little tap with a hammer shatters it into 100 pieces. How do you respond to problems determines the quality of your character. 500 years ago, Saint Kabir said, Sona, Sajjan, Sadhujan, Tute, Jude, 100 baar. Gold, good people, the saints, they break 100 times and they join back again. Durjan kumbh kumhar ke eke karad darar. The evil people and the potter's mud vessels, their trait is that one hit and they are shattered forever. That is why the art of succeeding in life and beyond requires learning the art of facing problems with the proper mindset. So that mindset for facing problems is what we wish to learn and discuss today. The first thing, expect problems. Supposing you are going uphill, you expect the going to be tough. The sign that you are climbing is that the going is tough. Similarly, if you are climbing in life, then you need to expect problems. If you have a job, you must expect problems, because no organization will give you a salary if there are no problems to solve. The reason you can justify the salary that you are earning for the job that you are performing is that you have problems which you are solving. So, first part of the mindset in handling problems is to expect them. Sometimes people are too naive. When the child is born, they idealistically think he is going to be the next Shravan Kumar. And when the child grows up and starts the jute chappal, the reality comes and people say, how did this happen to me? Can't you open your eyes and see the world around you? How did you assume that your son will be the Shravan Kumar? You should have expected the problems. And then beyond that, anticipate the problems. Anticipate means if you are doing something, the problem can come. Like they say, if you undertake a construction project, assume that the budget with which you started, it will require twice the amount. And the time that you have anticipated, that will also require twice. Because all kinds of problems will arise. So that is the anticipating of the problems. It is only being realistic. Beyond that, you have to face the problem. Very often, like the elephant in the room, people ignore that there is a problem. That is how the ostrich does it, right? The ostrich, when it sees a problem, it dunks its head into the ground and thinks that the problem is gone. That does not solve it. You have to have the courage to say, yes, there is a problem. And there is a difference between problem spotting and problem solving. Problem spotting is still an easy thing. Somebody can say the problem in Dallas is that the roads are not big enough and that is why we have a traffic problem. That doesn't take a big deal. So what do you do about it? If every road was a 6-lane highway, the problem would be solved. That's easy to say, but it's difficult to implement. So you don't stop at problem spotting. You have to now move on to problem solving. And when you solve problems, you have to keep different perspectives in mind. As they say, different shloks for different folks. But remember, when you change your perspective, the problem seems to grow smaller. Don't consider the problem to be too big. Don't let it overpower you. Think of others who had bigger problems. Supposing we were in the Second World War, we would have been in the trenches with bombs falling all around, and fighter planes, bomber planes going around our head and tanks appearing in the horizon. Then we would have said, this is a real problem. So when you think it is such a big problem, think of those who have got bigger problems. So, see the problem in the perspective and then see how you could benefit from this problem. Here the healing begins. There are always the silver lining to the clouds of problems that arise. There are always benefits you can get from the difficulties that occur in your life. Rather than being cowered down by the difficulty, grasp the opportunity and utilize it to grow. Remember, growth takes place in the face of difficulties. Your perspective on growth is different from God's perspective on growth. Your perspective is that if my salary is increasing, then I am growing. If I have been promoted from systems analyst to systems engineer to systems manager, then I am growing. If I have moved from an apartment to a townhouse to a bungalow, then I am growing. God's perspective is different. God says real growth is from inside. Are you growing from inside? If you are, that is the real growth. And that inner growth happens when you get challenged. The Chandogya Upanishad has this question: why does God allow cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons, tornadoes, and in Dallas, hailstorms to happen? Why all this? Is there a defect in God's design? Is God a defective engineer? Of course not. He who created the DNA in the cell, the DNA which is packed with so much of information, that DNA of the bird is already pre-programmed to give the bird the intellect. This is how you make your nest. This is how you hatch the eggs. This is how you feed the chicks. That God, all he needed was to tweak his design a little bit, and there would have been no earthquakes or cyclones or volcanoes. So that means God deliberately allowed these difficulties in his design. Why did he allow them? He created them to repeatedly challenge humankind. When you are challenged, you are forced to exert yourself physically, mentally, intellectually, spiritually. And in this exertion, you start growing.